to the Padilla family homestead. My name is Jennifer. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are not new, welcome. Right now, you're probably watching this replay. We go live on Mondays right now. We didn't go live last week, but we're trying to go live on Mondays here on the channel. I usually post over on Instagram and in the community tab here on YouTube. Questions or some sort of post for topics that you want me to talk about in the live. This particular one, we are going to be talking about the Rogers, Arkansas tornado. We just moved to Rogers about a month ago now. A month ago, as of tomorrow, is when we arrived. And that just happened a week ago. So that's why we weren't live last week, was because we had no internet service, no power, no anything. So somebody asked that I touch on the tornado and so forth, and I was kind of going back and forth on kind of how I wanted to talk about it, and I think I know the approach I want to take. I'm going to try to give a couple minutes for people to pop in, but I will say that it's definitely a different perspective for me because we haven't been here very long, and so being prepared right away, I was not necessarily. However, the people we live with were prepared. So that is something that I learned a lot about right off the bat. So we're going to touch on a lot of that stuff. Before I start with that, though, because of where I am going to turn the camera around and give you a glimpse of the garden because I'm right in the right spot for it. So that is our garden. It is growing lovely. The garden tour video I did the other day showed that we did not lose a bunch of stuff in the garden. We only lost a couple of things through the tornado. We have all kinds of seeds popping up even since that video, and lots of growth. This green patch right here is all green beans. They are taking off. So that's the garden. It's doing good. We still have plants to plant, but everything's doing great out here. My friend's mom actually said that plants love when there's rain and lightning and all of that, and I found it interesting, but it does change the energy in the air, and so they are definitely thriving, which is awesome. And then if you hop on, let me know. I would love to hear comments below. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have questions, you can put them in all caps. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I can see them. I just realized my chat settings were weird. So make sure I do my best that I can see them, but caps will help me. And then, okay, we're going to jump in and dive into tornado stuff. So we came from California. Most of my followers know that. So we came from California, where we have dealt with earthquakes. Fires are another natural disaster that we deal with. The idea of tornadoes has always been something that is extremely scary, and things that we had to really wrap our head around when we were deciding to move out here. And what's funny is one of my favorite movies when I was a kid or a teenager was Twister, and I would watch that thing over and over and over again. And so I kind of had an idea of damage that tornadoes can do, obviously from that movie. The last 3 years we have been considering moving out here, and when you are deciding to move someplace, it's important that you gain knowledge of what can happen, what the natural disasters are that could happen, what regularly happens, how you deal with them, what's the protocol, all of those things. So my best friend who we're living with right now, they moved here 8 years ago. And so I have gotten a lot of information from her prior to moving. I've watched YouTubers who live out here, and I really dug in and kind of got the information. I also knew statistically where we are, that there's not that many tornadoes that cause big damage. Where we are, it's something to do with the terrain. Most of the time, they do not touch down here the same way. And so I say all that a week after a large tornado came by and messed up the town. So we knew that it was a possibility. We knew what protocol to take if it were to happen, where to go. We knew to listen for the tornado sirens. We knew right away to have flashlights by the bed and all of that kind of stuff. There were a few things that we were not super prepared for on our side. And so there was a few things in the aftermath of a tornado on what to deal with. So I want to share a little bit about that. If you don't not know, Rogers, Arkansas, again, that's where we are. Saturday night, not 2 days ago, but a week ago, Saturday night into early Sunday morning. I want to say it was somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning. We had an F2 tornado hit. It was literally about 2 minutes away, 2 minutes drive time away from where we are. It went from 2 to about 15 minutes away. And it did some major damage. So Decatur ended up getting, I think it's about a half hour away. I'm not 100% positive. I think it's about a half hour away is Decatur. And that ended up getting the record-breaking largest tornado Arkansas has ever seen. And so that one was 1.8 miles wide and that's 3,200 yards wide. The Rogers, Arkansas tornado was 1.7 miles wide, and so that was 3,000 yards wide. So we were really close to having Arkansas's largest tornado that we went through. And okay, so the night, I'm going to talk about the night of first, and then I'll go into kind of going through experiencing town afterwards. So that night it was thunderstorms. Since we've been here, there's been thunder and lightning and storms, and I kind of wasn't watching the radar super well. My husband and I had gone to bed, and I woke up and my legs were aching. I have no idea why they were aching so bad. They were just aching like crazy, and I wasn't able to get comfortable. And that was about, I want to say that was about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was laying there for a little bit trying to go back to sleep. And my husband was still awake. He had actually not gone to sleep yet. And he was having a hard time falling asleep. And we can see through the blinds just the lightning crashing and like lots of lights. And if you don't know, we're in a garage that has been converted. They put flooring in and a faux wall and a wall and painted it and set it all up for us and insulated it and all those things. But we only have this little window, and so where our AC is in, and we could see the lightning just flashing. And then all of a sudden the tornado siren went off. And so we jump up and we are hopping out of bed, and I will tell you, my heart has never pounded harder. I don't think it's ever pounded harder. I might be wrong, but I really don't think it has. And, I hop up and I realize, crap, I have one of this shoe and one of that shoe. I'm like, are you kidding me? And my husband grabs the flashlight, we're getting our stuff, and we're about to head down. And we're making sure that the kids, they have 3 kids, and so making sure everybody's ready. we kind of lollygag for a second there, and then they thought that the radar had passed, that it had gone past our area, and then it was get down now, like get down to the shelter now. So we go down. I ended up, I will tell you, there's a few things that I have learned. So I grabbed my teeth because I have dentures. So I grabbed my teeth because if you don't have your teeth, that's when something's going to happen to the house and you're going to end up on the news. So that's my theory. I've always kind of been like, be prepared. So of course I grabbed my teeth, but I actually, because we were lollygagging for that minute, I actually took the time to put them in. And we end up going down to the basement and hanging out there for, I want to say it was about an hour and a half. And they had flashlights and lawn chairs and all the things down there. There wasn't really a food supply down there for that one, but we had the stuff that we needed. And we were having a hard time getting cell reception, things like that. It was not that noisy. Like, we can hear rain, we could hear when I believe hail came by at some point. You can kind of hear the wind, but there's no windows down there. It's all like concreted in. So you can't really tell what's going on. Some people had better cell reception than others to be able to try to get through, but we had lost power. So there's no Wi-Fi, there's none of that. So we just stayed down, and where they are, I'm going to flip the camera around again. So there is a road behind me, but this is their fence line, and there's a hauler down back here, and that goes down. So it's just wilderness and lots and lots and lots of trees. And for those of you that missed it, that's the garden. And then there's a neighborhood in here, but people are like semi-close but far away, and so you can't, but there's lots of trees. You can't see a lot. There's not a lot of view except for directly up, so we can't see how bad things are. What we do notice when we come out is that there were a few larger branches down. There was small debris all over the place, little branches and twigs and everything else. When we're walking back up to come inside the house, the GreenStalks which are right next to me, were totally fine. They were standing, no issues at all. None of the patio furniture had flown. I have my umbrella right here. It stayed up just fine. It did not tip over. I don't have it open, but it was totally fine. And so we went in, and obviously we're worked up, but some of the teenagers wanted to go to sleep right away. They were like, let's just go to bed, because most of the time if they have a tornado warning, there's no, like, it's nothing. So we're going inside, and we're realizing like some of the friends are checking in with their friends, and roofs are missing, and there's damage. We're realizing this is a bigger one. So once we're kind of calmed down, we go to bed. The storm really calmed down, and we get some sleep, and we get up later in the morning, that Sunday morning, and we're starting to get word in on damage a little bit as we can. We needed to get ice for the ice chest because we had no power. The generator wasn't working. So we're trying to save some of the stuff that we could out of the refrigerators, and it was hot, so we wanted to have some cooler drinks. We had some waters outside the ice chest and some we put in the ice chest, so people could have the choice on if they want it, because it's actually better for you to drink room temperature water, but when it's hot out and you have no AC, you kind of want something to cool down sometimes. So we ended up going out and trying to get gas for our car, and go out and find some ice. So that was my husband and I. We went out and did that. My friend and her husband and their kids went out with the chainsaw, and they helped like clear a road, and they were looking for people that they could help. There was lots of roads closed, and I will tell you, that was probably one of the most emotional days outside of losing somebody that I love. driving around and seeing how close the damage was, because it was 2 minutes away. It wasn't very far. There was a store like around that had like is just gone. It's been around since the 60s, and there were whole roads you couldn't get down because the trees were just down everywhere, blocking everything. The people right across the street from us had a huge tree down that went through their fence. And as you're driving through town, you're seeing power lines down. And I can't show you pictures on here because I'm live. So I am really sorry I can't show pictures right now. But I did take some, and I can share some in a video or a post if you want me to. Maybe I'll put some in the community tab in a post. Let me know if that's something you want to see or not see, because some people are probably going to be for that and some people aren't. But it was pretty bad, and we ended up finding some place so we can get some ice, and we got gas. And Junior and I really, my husband, we really talked that day and made the decision that we wouldn't lollygag as much for us, whether we knew or didn't know, if we thought it had passed or didn't pass or whatever. We just go down there and hang out for a while. We'd rather be down there longer than not, because we had no idea the weather was as bad as it was, because we were so protected in this cove. Now, there's trees down in that holler. There's trees down all over the place. And for some reason, we didn't have huge trees down here. We have like little tiny trees that are down. A big branch fell and knocked down part of the fence. We're in Rogers, Arkansas. And so we were very lucky at our home on what happened here, but a few minutes away, people's worlds and lives are changed. And so in the preceding days, we had no power for, let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I want to say power came back Wednesday night, right as, this is the funniest thing, right as Ryan, my friend's husband, got a brand new generator, put gas in it, hooked it up, ran all the cords, and was about to plug everything in. He looked across the street and they had power, and he was like, it's just funny. So we have a generator for the next time. But the timing was like impeccable. So, but we didn't have power. Our plumbing backed up at that around that same time, so we didn't have plumbing in the house, and obviously internet was down. We did have water, and the house has gas for like the stove and things like that, and it was so we were able to utilize that. Now, a lot of people had gas leaks. A lot of people had a lot of other issues. Some people had generators because storms happen and power goes out, and so some people were ready. I mean, there were some things though, like cars are just smashed, big semi trucks are tipped over, power lines are just snapped like a toothpick, and on the ground were transformers. There's still transformers on the ground. I think most of the roads are open to through traffic now in downtown, but people came together really fast. So biggest BLT is my mom. Yes, it was, and I think the hardest part was trying to find resources without having internet to get the resources. So for some reason, mine and my husband's phone was getting internet service, like to be able to get on Facebook and get some information, but we were having troubles with calls more, where my friend was doing a little bit better with calls. Her texts were really bad, but she couldn't get onto the internet at all. Like nothing would load. So trying to find information, see what's open, who has what, it was really hard. Yeah, Bentonville got hit really hard as well. There were a lot. There's a record-breaking, like almost record-breaking amount of tornadoes, I think. there was another day, I want to say they said in 2022, that had more tornadoes on that day. These were not record breaking for how much damage they did, but they were record breaking on how large they were at the base. And so it's really interesting. I will say that one of the things I wanted to make sure I touched on was how helpful everybody is. Everybody is out checking with their neighbors. They're trying to give out food. They're coming together. And if somebody is having an issue, they're out there helping. There's volunteers all over the place. There was like a few days left of high school, I think, and the high schools all just closed and finished out, just ended their classes. And then they turned Rogers High School into a zone for where you can take showers. They had the wrestling mats out for people to sleep on. People were able to drop off donations. T-Mobile had a trailer thing with a generator, and they had tons of different power cords for being able to charge any type of phone or tablet or whatever. Plus it had free Wi-Fi there for like a half a mile radius or something like that. So we ended up using that place because we had no plumbing, and we were able to charge our stuff there and to be able to connect to Wi-Fi and send some stuff and get some information, which was great. But everybody wants to help everybody, and everybody, it's when in the crisis, the community comes together as a family. And I think that has been one of the biggest things out here is the Southern hospitality is like real. And I love it. I'm here for it. And people have said like they've lived here 61 years and have never seen anything like this. And so it's something that we know is not normal. I think this will probably be, knock on wood, the worst tornado that we ever experience here. But it did not scare us away. We still plan on settling down our roots here and living here. I think that's been a question on people's minds. It's absolutely, we are still planning on being in this area, and we do not feel like the move was a mistake in any way. We are still very excited that we did the move. We're very, very thankful, and I'm very thankful and humbled that the house here is fine. I mean, again, it's not my house, but I'm very thankful that it's okay and we didn't have humongous damage. There's little stuff that we're dealing with, but not having internet is very different than not having a roof, or having a tree smash into your car. Now this week our starter died, so we don't have a car for a different reason. So we're trying to figure that out. But yeah, so that's kind of my update on the tornado. We were very lucky, only lost a couple things in the garden, and had minor damage with the fencing and I think a gutter, and then trees down in the holler that eventually will have to be taken care of. But we all fared good. So that's the main update. I will say that we, couple things that we know that we want to have prepared. No cars in my yard. I know. We did see fields of cows. We ended up going to Fayetteville to try to find battery operated vans. And we saw these cows, and I remember like watching Twister, and that was one of my favorite things, was like, cow, there goes another cow. And I'm like, well, thankfully we don't have anybody else's animals in our yard, and we didn't lose any animals. So batteries, having batteries on hand for whatever your flashlights are, whatever your emergency radio is, and whatever you need it's going to make yourself comfortable. Hi, Ginger. Don't knock over the camera, please. Get out of here. Come on. The dog's down here, and I don't want it to knock over the tripod. It doesn't know what it is. So, one of the things is it's hot. My husband sleeps very hot. there's no windows that we can open in our room. And so fans, having something to blow air. Come on, get out of here. Get out of here. No, go, 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 go. This isn't about you. Um, so we needed to find a way to have airflow. And we were trying to find battery operated fans. Um, we found a couple at Walmart. The best, I will tell you, the best one we had was the fan on a squirt bottle, where you can squirt if you want to, or you can flip the fan on. Like that was a really good one. And my husband had one that he put around his neck. The other ones that were rechargeable, they lost their charge super fast. And so the ones we can put batteries in, like AA batteries or AAA batteries, those were the ones that were the game changers. So that's something that we know that we are going to have on hand for us. More flashlights, battery banks, because we have many battery banks, and we were able to recharge them in the car or go to a place and charge them. But having a few battery banks, I think is important, and ones that can charge solar. We have one that can charge solar, and we have a flashlight that can charge solar, or be plugged in. And so that was super helpful. And then having a go bag, like for me, having leaning towards higher blood pressure and having issues. I've had high blood pressure. One of the things I will have in a bag is some lavender essential oil. We also want to have like heartburn, Benadryl, a little first aid kit set up. The emergency radio, we did have one of those upstairs, and I think it went off, but then the batteries died. So we didn't have that for during the storm. So having that and the backup batteries in the storm shelter, not upstairs. The next day we did get a tornado warning again. And so like I brought a basket of fresh waters and jerky and non-perishable things, that if we were going to have to be down there, we had that. I think my husband and I, because this is how we work, would probably have a deck of cards to distract us a little bit, and play some rummy, but that's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you're going to have to be down there for a little bit, making sure you have supplies. The other thing is a bathroom situation. And so I don't know what everybody else does for a bathroom. The only thing I came up in my head was like a bucket with some kitty litter in it, and the lid. So I don't know. But having that figured out, if you're down there or you get blocked in to your emergency shelter, you have somewhere to deal with that. And then probably TMI for if there's any guys watching, but any womanly needs during that time, I would have some backup down there. There's just little things like that were things that I didn't necessarily think about. And I think it's important. The other thing is, I think that during bad storms, I would just sleep with my teeth in. And then the other one is having a pair of shoes, sandals at least, by the bed. Always having one pair of shoes that are easy slip on by the bed, because we have to walk outside and through stuff to get to the basement. We can't get to it from inside the house. And so making sure we have that is really important. But yeah, I think those were my key things. If you guys have things that you think should be shared, definitely drop them in the comments, because I think anybody being prepared is important. I think food, water, some sort of protection. They have down in their thing, they have most of their camping gear down there, and we had like a shovel in case like we let in a snake or something along those lines. Like we had stuff to help deal with things. But those are all things to consider and to think about. So whatever things you're going to need, if you take medication, having some medication down there. I will tell you a couple of the deaths that I've heard about in our county. Somebody had a heart attack during the storm. Somebody else died because they had COPD and didn't have oxygen, which hits really close to home because I have an aunt that has COPD and is on oxygen. And she's not here, but she has. That's why she has the backup systems that she has. But she also doesn't live out here. But power gets shut off in California. Like, we've gone without power before multiple times because the wind blows wrong during fire season, and or the wind just blows wrong and you lose power. So there's lots of reasons to not have power for extended times, and I think it's really important that whatever your needs are for your family, that you think about being able to survive at least a few days. And if that comes down to oxygen or medication or whatever else, like food, water, things along those lines, that you need to make sure that you have that. Um, and then um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm probably forgetting something for preparedness wise. But those are kind of my key things. Um, I think in the future, I don't know. I think it depends on where we lived and what the odds are. But I think it would probably be smart to have some of your important documents somewhere safe. That way you had them if you needed them, whether it was your identification, your whatever. Have those. Like, mine were attached to my phone in my phone case. So I had my driver's license. Um, Great idea. Garbage bags for a bucket on a 5-gallon bucket. That is smart. Yeah, the working generator we needed. We didn't have one. We have one now. Um, what was I saying? Oh, important information. So that way, if you do have to deal with insurance stuff or um, whatever else, you have your information with you, and it's not sitting in a pile of rubble or in a house that's unsafe. We just went to the somebody's house yesterday, and I mean, you have to wait for insurance to approve anything before you can start working on anything or doing things. And so like, they still have, this lady still has the beam down in her house, and now because it's been raining and humid, the tree was on her house, and thankfully, like, her husband's head was like under the beam, like literally a minute before the tree fell. And so she's like, I'm just very thankful that my husband's alive. And but they can't go into that room and do anything, and mold is growing and things are happening. So like, they don't have a dehumidifier to pop in there, so they ordered one to try to get. But in an emergency, those things are going to go away. Flashlights, generators, dehumidifiers, any of those little things, you can those are going to go away, and it's going to be very hard to get unless you have the ability to travel. And so having some of that stuff stocked up, I think, is really important. And then if it's not tornado season or whatever the emergency season is, then you may not be in that area, and you may not be realizing that whatever food you had down there is expired, or the water got too hot and it doesn't taste good anymore, or something, an animal got into something, or something along those lines. So making sure that you're checking that stuff is important. Knowing where candles are, knowing where, um, knowing how you're going to cook in that situation. We did have a gas stove, so we were able to cook. We couldn't use the oven. We did go to storage and get our camp stove that has the double burners. We were going to try to use that, and then a storm rolled in, so we ended up cooking inside. They have a little tiny little camp stove with like one of those little propane things, and that's good for just heating up water really fast and doing that. I mean, I tried to be prepared for some of this stuff before, and so like, I had like a easy pour over thing So we're not all cranky. We can still make coffee with hot water and pop open a Keurig pot and put it inside the pour over thing and just make coffee. Um, and so we had that available. But thinking about those things, one, deal with survival, and then two, once you have your survival stuff done, it's what are the things that would make life easier in those situations, and then set it up to where you can thrive. So coffee is a thriving thing, it's not a survival thing. Water is survival. So it's looking at it and deciding what you're going to do. So we are good, we are safe. We are It still hits hard. My friend and I went down a road and we thought one road was open, and then we got detoured around and we went down another road, and then we couldn't get out because trees were down and it was one-way things. And it was one of those things where you feel like you're walking in and having, like, watching somebody's worst day ever, and kind of intruding on that, and felt really bad for being in the place we shouldn't have been in, but we can't get out of now. And it was trying to circle around, and we ended up in the heart of part of where the tornado happened. And the huge trees that were on people's homes, and these trees are old. These you can tell this stuff doesn't happen here that same way, because old trees, old buildings, that haven't had this stuff happen before. And seeing the devastation, how deep it is, not on a TV screen, and not in some documentary, but watching people walking through and looking at their house and trying to figure out how to get this stuff off, and multiple people trying to move things, and just process and deal and go through it. It's very emotional, and it's very hard to see. And I'm going to stress again, because I said it at the beginning, that we do not regret moving here at all. And I really think that every area has some sort of natural disaster that they deal with, whether it's hurricanes or flooding or tornadoes or fires or earthquakes or whatever. Everywhere, blizzards where people get trapped inside. Everybody has something that can happen. Mother Nature can do, right? And I think that it is important to know what is possible in your area and how you can handle it. I know that people back home where we came from in California are like, why? Like, are you okay? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you there? And people who have no idea how to deal with the tornadoes, or didn't do the research on it like we have ahead of time. It's like, why? You're so stupid for moving there. It's like, no, like, we knew what we were getting into, and we knew that there were possibilities. Now, my friend's husband was funny. He's like, I blame you. You offset the balance. Like, you moved here and boom, like, we get like record-breaking tornadoes. Like, okay, it's our fault. It's our fault. So, yeah, but overall things are improving. We're good here. I'm live because we have Wi-Fi, and so I am still going to be figuring out videos for this week. It's kind of been chaotic, and the ability to record has been very not possible. So I don't have anything built up, but I will try to have videos out for Wednesday and Friday, so stay tuned for those. I do remember you doing that, Mother. Running across my mom would go across the dam and yell earthquake, and what do you do? Like, really? Because we had to know what to do in an earthquake at any point in time. outside looks like really smoky right now. It's kind of weird. Um, I think it's, I don't know if the fog's rolling in or what's going on, but it looks really smoky out here. Um, but yeah, so we're good. We're happy. We are getting settled. I saw my first lightning bugs this week as well. So that was kind of fun. I was chasing one around trying to show my daughter. And then last night while we were over at somebody's house, like a bunch popped out. So I don't know if we'll have more pop out tonight because we're supposed to have storms rolling in. I'm actually very thankful I'm outside because it was supposed to be storming right now. But lightning bugs, I'm super, super excited about. I'm also very excited about our garden and the food that's going to come out of that. I just woke up my sourdough starter finally, and that survived the trip. And so I think I'm going to feed it some stuff tomorrow and actually like start making bread. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, there's a lot going on, lots of changes. We got to figure out our car. Um, and get that starter fixed. We are figuring out all kinds of stuff. Job hunting kind of went sideways the last week or so. So, um, get back on track with that as businesses are reopening and figuring out what they need and what they don't need for employees. Um, and yeah, so we just thank you for following along on our journey and being here with us. And if you were in the path of these tornadoes, I really hope that you're okay and that you have hope and you have support and that you are being comforted by the community. I know my cousin in Texas had a tree fall in their house. It isn't just Arkansas. There's been lots of storms, lots of tornadoes all over the place this last week that have really, really impacted a lot of communities and a lot of people. At one point, my cousin in Texas had tornado watches. We had tornado watches here in Arkansas, and my mom had tornado watches in Ohio. And it was just like, oh, they're just everywhere today. So, but if you are struggling, I hope that you have hope. If you are new to an area like this, I really suggest you get acquainted with what is a possibility in your area and don't live in fear, be prepared. Um, our channel is all about intentionally living, like that is what we do. And so we want to be intentional in being prepared. We want to be intentional in the decisions we're making and the everyday choices. We want to be intentional in all the things. And so sometimes there are some things that are out of your control a little bit and you have to react. But it's good after those things to go back and go, okay, so what could I have done better to be more prepared? What could I have done to make this be easier for everybody? And so there's things along those lines that I think that we learned a lot. We know more for when we actually buy our own place and are on our own. Some of the things we're going to have is backups like generators and things like that, and um, resources and knowing the resources and um, but I think knowledge is important and putting action behind that knowledge and being intentional with what you're doing. And so yeah, I'm excited for this coming summer. And I am excited for all the things that we are working on and doing. And I still love the lightning and thunderstorms. That did not scare that out of me. They are beautiful out here, and you're not scared of fires when lightning hits. So that's a wonderful thing. But it is getting late. I've been on here for quite a while. So I'm going to hop off. If you have more questions, if I didn't touch on something, let me know. I'll talk to my husband if I don't get any comments in the description if I don't get any comments for if you guys want pictures posted or not, I'll talk to him and see if we want to post them or not. And you can look, though, there's a lot of videos online that show the damage and show aerial views that you're not going to get from somebody driving through. Um, but for weather, Ryan Hall is great. I've been following somebody on, there's an Arkansas storm tracker. He's another Hall. It's not Ryan Hall. There's another Hall that's a storm tracker for Arkansas on Facebook. And so I've been watching his posts for, like, that's where I got a lot of the updates on what size the tornado was, how many tornadoes touched down in the area, and historical things and things along those lines. So I think it's important to get plugged in and figure that stuff out, and know it for your area. But there's a lot of information out there. You just got to be willing to get it. Don't get paralyzed by fear. Be prepared. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a tornado, a job loss, an illness, whatever it is. And you just need to be intentionally prepared for whatever it is. So that's it. That's what I have for you tonight. Wish you guys the best, and we will see you back next Monday for another live. Otherwise, I'll have some videos for you Wednesday and Friday. Just not sure what they are yet. We'll see you guys soon.